Good day, everyone. I'm here with another recipe for you. This one's called fudge squares, and it's something that we had quite a bit of when I was young. My mother said she got this recipe from her sister Kitty. It's an old maritime recipe, and I think you're really going to like them. They're an easy square to make, so we'll get started. Okay, so we're going to start, and you start with a half a cup of melted butter. So I'm going to put that in. Butter all over everything. And then to that I'm going to do this right now. Normally I don't add the vanilla right away, but where it's a liquid, it seems to make sense. Now, I think it says a teaspoon of vanilla. I never measure vanilla. I just pour it in. It's just how I do it. I'm not going to be measuring it, so I'm just going to pour in, I don't know, that looks about right. And then to that, I'm going to add, it's a cup of brown sugar. So put that in, and now I'm going to mix that up. This is such an easy, and these squares are so good. They have, I don't know what kind of a base you'd call them. It's sort of not like a shortbread. It's a bit of like, a little bit like cake. I don't know. But the top of it, I'll do that when I'm done making the base. The top of it is, it's kind of like a meringue. And when it bakes in the oven, it's kind of crispy, and then underneath it's a little bit gooey, and then you got the base. Anyway, it's really, really good. So that looks good enough. Then to that, I'm going to add 2 egg yolks. Squirt them in. Sugar. Now this will be the time. I should be using a spatula. I don't know if I really want to use that just yet, but I'm going to, because that egg yolk really gets stuck. Okay, I'll set that there. I'll probably need that. Okay, so I'm mixing the egg yolks. Sometimes you get a few little lumps of sugar. You can break them up as you're mixing it. Okay, we're getting there. Now I'm going to add the nuts now. This is 1 cup of chopped walnuts. When I buy them in the package, you can buy chopped walnuts. Yeah, I find I have to chop them a bit more myself because I want them to be, well, I don't know, I'll show you. I want them to be a little finer than what they would be in the package. So dump them in. Mix that up. Okay. So to that, I'm going to add, it's 1.5 cups of flour. And I'm going to do like I did with my other recipe for the lemon loaf. Just sprinkle it on top. And to that, you add a teaspoon of baking powder. So that'll go in there. And again, I just sort of, I don't know, you just kind of mix the baking powder into the flour best you can. And then this all comes together. This is something my mother made a lot when we were kids, my brother and I. And it's obviously, it was something she really liked, but I think because it was such an easy recipe, you know, you could make it up real quick, get it in the oven, and you had a nice dessert for supper. So we'll get all that flour mixed in. I'm not sure why they got the name fudge squares. like, other than the brown sugar, like there's nothing really I'd say, oh, that's like fudge. So I asked Mom, I said, where do you think Kitty got the recipe? And she said, oh, probably from the church, the women in the church up in Tidehead, New Brunswick. That's where, well, my family's all from northern New Brunswick and into Quebec, just across the border. So, okay, what I'm gonna do, you know what? That wasn't a very good idea. I'll just scrape it in. So what I've done, I have this square pan. I think they say a 9x9 pan. What does it say? 8x8 pan. I'm sure this is probably bigger. I didn't measure it. And I decided, this is something I've never done before, but I'm using parchment paper. And I'm thinking that's going to make it a whole lot easier when I take the squares out to cut them, rather than trying to cut around the edge and get them out of the pan. I'm thinking this will make it easier, so I'm trying it. Okay. So I'll get this into the pan. Later today I want to go and get some strawberries. I think I'm going to make some homemade strawberry jam for you. This time of year, it's always nice when the strawberries come out. So with this, I'm just gonna use my hands the best I can here. And you just kind of press it into the pan. Nothing works as well as your hands, I find, in terms of having a tool that you use in the kitchen. You can feel so much and sense so much with your hands. I suppose you could use, you could use a fork too, and flatten it all out that way. I'm noticing it's a little trickier with using the parchment paper, because it wants to slide around a little bit, but I think in the long run, I'll be happy that I used parchment paper. My goodness, my cats are being unusually good. They weren't good earlier. Peaches was being really bad and getting into stuff, but they're being good. Okay, so that is all made, all pressed into the pan. You can see what that's like. All right, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to get the beaters out, clean this up a bit, and I'll get the beaters out, and then I have to beat, because I had used egg yolks. It's the egg whites that get beaten with some brown sugar. And you beat that all up, and it goes on the top. And then you put it in the oven. And that's it. It's really, really easy. So, all right, so we'll get her cleaned up and on to the next step. So I usually get this started, and then, I don't know if this is the way you're supposed to do it, but it's how I do it. Now, with the cup of brown sugar, it's a scant cup, as you can see. Like, it's not packed, and it's not completely full. That's a tip from my mother. So we'll just dump it in, and keep on going. Okay, this brown sugar is getting on my last nerve. Come on, man. Yeah. So, here's confession time. I've only made these maybe once or twice before, And unfortunately, I forgot to ask my mother, how long do you beat this thing? Like, I'm not really making regular meringue for the top of a pie or anything. And with all the sugar in it, I'm not 100% sure what it should be. So I'm just gonna kind of try to become one with this and just look at it and see if that looks right. Sometimes that's what you got to do, but anyway, I'm gonna beat it a little bit more. I think it needs a little bit more. All right, we're gonna go with this. I'll put you over here. Okie dokie. So I have the base that I made, and then I'm just gonna pour this on top. I'll smooth it all out. Okay. And this will kind of puff up in the oven. And as I say, it's gonna be like a baked meringue, like, you know how it gets sort of crispy and then it's a little gooey too, sort of underneath? That's what it's gonna be like. And you try to smooth it out again the best you can, like, because you want it to be even, ideally. Again, I could get real fancy with it, but I think that's gonna have to do. You know, you can fret over something and fret over it, and oh, is it just right? But you know what? It's just fudge squares. So, okay, good enough. So, this is going to go in the oven, what does it say? It says 45 minutes. I was talking to Mom, and she said, make sure you don't over bake it. I think things get just a little too crispy if you overbake it, so I'm going to check it probably at about 40 minutes, and I may even take it out then. It just depends on how it looks. And you bake it in a slow oven, so I'm baking it at 325, and I suppose I could even lower it if I wanted, but usually if it says a slow oven, I go with 325. So we'll do that. And then once it's baked, I'll take it out and we can cut them and you can see what they're like. I know if you try this recipe, you're gonna like it. Like, I think you'll like it. All right, so it's been 40 minutes that it was in the oven, and I just took it out, and they look pretty good, I think. I'll show you. See how they kind of bubbled up? That's normal, although I don't remember Mom's bubbling up quite that much, but anyway, we're going to take them out and see how they are. They're still warm, and I'm just going to lift that out, get that out of the way. Alrighty, and yes, these are a whole lot easier to deal with the parchment paper. So let's see. They're still kind of soft. I don't think I'd want to let these cool completely and then try to cut them, because of the nature of this meringue on the top. I think it would only get drier and crispier as they cool. Now, what am I going to do? Do I want two big ones? Why not? Something like that. And then like so. And like so. And as I say, it's normal for them to, do I want little ones or big ones? I don't know. We might as well just do that. It's normal for them to get kind of crumbly like that on top. So you can see what they turn out like. You get this sort of crispy meringue on top, and underneath that, it's really gooey. And really, really good. And you know what? How can I not? Can I not? Those are really good. It's a real brown sugar flavor you get with them. And it's all warm and chewy, and there's a little bit crispy on top. Really good. So these are fudge squares. And if you try them, I hope they work out for you. And the cats, they're not fighting now. They were fighting earlier. But they've been pretty good, I have to say. All right. Oh, you think so too, eh, Peaches? Okay. Meow. All right. So, good luck with these fudge squares, and onward and upward. Thanks.